The Rukandal clan held a powerful reputation as a family skilled in swordsmanship, reigning over half of the world. Jin, the youngest son, during the ritual of selecting a sword, chose the clan's chief sword, believing it would lead him to become the clan's leader. However, he lacked the necessary skills. His brothers belittled him, seeing him as a disappointment, but Jin persisted in training with a wooden sword. They kicked him out of the clan, but Jin believed if he worked hard every day, the clan would eventually recognize him. At 25, he was officially expelled from the clan. Jin was aimlessly wandering until he met a teacher who helped him discover his true talent, magic. 3 years later, he was conducting magic experiments when a puff of black smoke appeared and introduced itself as Saul, the Lord of Shadows. Saul offered to remove a curse preventing Jin from using a sword in exchange for observing his growth. Jin accepted and soon became a skilled swordsman. However, before he could prove himself, he was assassinated. Jin opened his eyes and found himself back in the past, on the day of the sword selection ceremony. Given another chance, Jin was determined to not let the opportunity slip away this time. Jin, just like in his previous existence, chose the clan leader's blade, granting him access to the arena and survival. He was required to stay there for 6 years, and those chosen couldn't leave until they were at least 10. Suddenly, a maid discovered a deceased bird in the arena, and Jin swiftly deduced that his brothers had killed it to intimidate and provoke him. A fight ensued after Jin didn't react. Eventually, Jin had enough and knocked them out. At that moment, bodyguard Khan walked in and, assuming they were brawling on their own, fainted. Khan was about to take them to the physician, but Jin stopped him and led them to the garden, placing them beside the grave of the bird they had just slain and informing them of their actions. Khan listened without objection, but when Jin revealed his magical abilities, Khan rushed to inform the patriarch. Jin anticipated this, knowing that the pact with Shadow King Saul was still in effect and he would eventually pay a visit. Since the previous Jin was no longer alive, the current Jin took precedence over all others. Jin had intended to meet his father when Khan arrived to inform him, and as soon as Khan heard this, he summoned all of his knights and sent them to the arena to meet Jin. The patriarch summoned 7 of his most powerful knights to accompany him to the arena to visit Jin. They were confused by the sudden summons, but remembered Jin as the boy who had chosen the founding sword years ago, and were curious to see how he had grown. Jin, however, felt that Khan, the bodyguard, was not perceptive enough to realize he was using magic and simply reported his observations to the patriarch. The patriarch summoned the Tona twins to confront them about their actions, but they refused to take responsibility, and even spread rumors that Jin was using magic. The patriarch warned them that their behavior would not be tolerated in the clan. Jin stepped in and made a convincing argument. The patriarch dismissed everyone but Jin, stating that the twins had accused him of using magic. Jin did not hide anything and believed he had nothing to prove to his father, but when the patriarch felt Jin's strength, he was shocked, recognizing it as the power of the clan's founder. After the clan's founder made a pact with the dark god Saul, he became an ally to the clan. However, upon the founder's passing, Saul also vanished. Jin's father believed that Saul was attempting to return through Jin. This sparked curiosity in Jin, wondering who was stronger, his father or Saul. His father was interested in fighting a god for the first time, and also wanted to see how Jin would use his powers. Jin stated that he would use his strength to aid the clan, but his father was skeptical, as he had already injured his brothers. Jin admitted to using his powers for himself. His father was content with this answer and left. Jin breathed a sigh of relief, as his father had just given him permission to unleash his dark powers. Then, on the 7th night, Mary, who was known for her love of fighting, approached Jin with a special gift, the Phoenix Heart, which would greatly enhance Jin's powers over time. Jin remembered that he needed to use it to summon the Phoenix in the future. His brothers begged for a piece of it, but Jin agreed only if they went to work in the mines first. After successfully completing their task, the twins rushed back to enjoy the soup, but Jin kept his word and left them with only 2 spoons. He then stumbled down to the mana tunnel, unsure of what to do with the increasing amount of mana he was gaining. He easily broke down the block and entered the room housing the clan's secret. He remembered his brother had given him the password in his previous life, as only the pioneer was allowed to enter. Inside, he was startled to find a sleeping person with scales on their face, which, according to legend, was a black dragon waiting for its successor. Jin didn't believe the tale until now. He searched for the magic library, knowing that if he took it away, it would be easily detected, so he decided to replicate it. When the dragon, Mirakan, awakened and detected his presence, Jin presented himself as a clan member and showed his dark energy. Muraken was dissatisfied as it had made a promise to the pioneer to wait for the successor, but it transformed into a dragon and vowed to be Jin's companion from then on. This is all for today's video. I will see you soon in part 2. Don't forget to subscribe.